Yeah, right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Oklahoma City Planning Commission for Thursday, September the 9th. If everybody could turn their cell phones off, that'd be great, or just silence them at this time. If you want to be heard today on any item on today's agenda, there are little slips of paper out on the desk out front. You can fill one of those out, give it to staff, and at the appropriate time, I'll call on you. If you don't sign up and you want to be heard on an item when you come forward, just be sure you start out by giving us your name and address for the record before you tell us what we need to hear about any item on today's agenda. So with that, we'll get started by calling the meeting to order. First order of business is to receive the minutes of the August 12th, 2021 meeting. Just as a reminder, commissioners, I think they were still writing them given the length of that meeting, so we didn't approve them at the last meeting. So we've got two sets of minutes to approve. August 12th is the first. I just need a motion to receive those.
So moved.
I have a motion. I'll take the second on PrimeGov when it's available. Why am I not getting that? Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Please cast your votes. I have a motion and a second to receive the minutes from the August 12th, 2021 meeting.
I'm still logging in.
How do you vote? Commissioner Hythus has voted aye with a thumbs up symbol, which we'll accept today, Paula. He doesn't know the decorum. He's new here.
I can't actually see that screen.
Commissioner Pennington also needs to voice vote, and his vote is?
Aye.
He's also voted aye. Are we missing any other votes? All votes have been cast, and the minutes are received. Next order of business is the receipt of the minutes for the August 26, 2021 meeting. If you're losing track of the calendar, that was our last meeting. I need a motion to receive those minutes unless there's discussion.
Mr. Chairman, is my mic working too?
We're going to need an IT person in here.
Right? Can you hear me?
Mm-mm.
It's not, it's on. Michael, pressing the wrong one. Got to be smarter than the technology. I move we receive the minutes from the August 26th, 2021 meeting.
I think it's been motioned and seconded in that process. Commissioner Powers has motioned. Commissioner Hinkle has seconded. I have a motion and second to receive the minutes. Please cast your votes on PrimeGov. Is everybody able to vote?
Mm-mm.
Excellent. All votes should be cast. Call them out by name, Paula. Don't be shy. And the minutes are received. Next order of business is the continuance requests. We have some uncontested requests to start with.
Yes, we have 5 items. Item 15, case CE 1057. This is an item that city staff requested continuance for to October 28th, so that the city could review some additional documentation studies, including a traffic study. Item 16, case SP 550, defer to September 23rd. Item 17, PUD 1786, defer to November 18th. Item 18, C 7230, defer to November 18th. And item 19, PC 10760, has been withdrawn.
Okay. Is there anyone here that wants to be heard on one of those items? Mr. Box?
Yes, on item 15, David Box, 522 Colcord Drive. So as Mr. Butler said, this was a staff request. The staff report incorrectly said that the applicant requested it. We do not request it. This is a staff request. We are happy to allow this continuance, this one-time continuance to be had, to allow staff to do whatever analysis they believe is necessary. But we do intend to put this hearing on October 28th with no further continuances. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions if there are. But I appreciate staff clarifying that we did not request this continuance.
Any questions on this from commissioners? So, but you are in agreement, continuance, and we're continuing it to October 28th by your agreement.
Well, it's staff's request, and we're happy to acquiesce in that request to allow them the time they state is necessary to provide the analysis. We're happy to have that happen, but on October 28th, we intend to put this on and will not agree to any continuance beyond that.
Okay, understood. If there's no further discussion, or are there any other items that need to be heard on the continuance side? Okay, so if there's no further discussion, I'll take a motion on the items for uncontested continuance as requested.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the uncontested continuance requests as listed.
Okay, I'll take the second on PrimeGov. It's been seconded by Commissioner Coffey. Please cast your votes. All votes should be cast. Commissioner Hinkle?
Yay.
Voted yay. All votes should be cast. And those continuances are approved unanimously. Next item on today's agenda is new continuance requests. I do believe we have some. Mr. Butler?
Yes, we have 4. Item 9, SBUD 1340, defer to October 14th. Item 12, PUD 1790, defer to September 23rd. Item 13, SPUD 1341, defer to September 23rd. And item 14, PC 10753, defer to October 14th.
That was item 14.
Yes,
And what was the continuance date for item 9? I missed it.
October 14th.
Okay. Are there any folks with us today that want to be heard on any of those items? Again, items 9, 12, 13, and 14 on today's agenda.
Yes.
Oh,
West Vaughn, 10830 North Bryant Avenue. On item 13, SBUD 1341, would it be possible to request a continuance to October 14th?
is the applicant with us?
We would be able to agree to that.
Okay, so October 14th?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so just to confirm, we've got item 9 for October 14th, item 12 for September 23rd, item 13 is October 14th, and item 14 is October 14th. Okay, seeing nothing else, I will take a motion on those continuance requests as read.
Mr. Chairman, I move approval of the new continuance requests as read.
Okay, I have a motion. I'll take the second on Prime Gov. It's been seconded by Commissioner Clare. Please cast your votes. All votes should be cast. Commissioner Hinkle has voted yea. And those continuance requests are approved unanimously. Next item on today's agenda are consent docket items. I believe we have 5.
Item 1 is case CE 1056, application to close a 119-foot portion of the 5-foot platted utility easement on the west side of a property located in Ward 8. Item 2, C 7350, final plat of Starbucks at the Grove. And this is located north of 178th Street and west of North May Avenue. Item 3 is case C 7351, final plat of Willow Villas, located west or south of Northwest 10th Street and east of North Cemetery Road. Item 4, case C 7352, final plat of the Grove 7 through 11, located north of 178th Street and west of North May Avenue. And number 5, case C 7353, final plat of Chisholm Creek Village, Phase 3, located south of Northwest 115th Street and east of North Blackwelder Avenue.
Okay, is there anybody who wants to be heard on any of those items today? Mr. Box?
Yes, item number 1. I'd asked, I guess, to be pulled out. If you want to go ahead and move the balance, we can discuss that.
Okay, we can do that. We'll pull item number 1 from the consent docket and move it to the first item requiring separate vote, thus requiring, is there any other items that we need to discuss on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll take a motion on items 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve items 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, I have a motion to approve the consent docket. I'll take the second on Prime Gov. Been seconded by Commissioner Clare. Please cast your votes. Just kidding. Now you can cast your votes. Commissioner Hinkle, you able to vote online?
Not yet. I vote yes.
All votes should be cast. And those consent agenda items are approved unanimously. Next item on today's agenda is item requiring separate votes. That's item number 1. Mr. Box?
Yeah, David Box, 522 Colcord Drive. With me today is also Kendall Dillon, who was the civil engineer for this project. I apologize for having to pull this off consent. We tried to work with staff, but were unable to get anywhere. I think it's important, if you look at the exhibit before you on the screen, this is what we seek to close. It is a portion in the side yard of this individual's home that at its most narrow point is 1 foot in width, and at its widest point is 3 feet in width. That was the result of a misidentification of a pin during the platting process and building process. We encroach up to 3.3 feet into the side yard setback. We went to the Board of Adjustment to get the variance to allow the encroachment. As you can imagine, having the home that has a piece of it in the side yard setback and this utility easement has created problems with title. So after we got the setback, we are now seeking to close and eventually vacate this strip, 1 foot up to 3 feet, so that title can be cured and this individual can have a home that he could freely sell at that time that it became possible. Now, the only reason I asked to pull this is because of the new boilerplate TE that staff has put in there. Again, this is a utility easement, so with that in mind, let's read the language of the TE that staff seeks to add. A perpetual easement for water, wastewater, drainage, stormwater, sidewalks, traffic control systems are hereby expressly reserved until such time as plans have been approved by Public Works and Utilities, respectively, which may include provision of new easements as necessary and/or individual easements being released. It's hard for me to imagine sidewalks, traffic control systems, or frankly anything listed in that list would ever be needed here. This is a utility easement. The only utility within that easement was OG&E. I handed out an exhibit that is from OG&E that is a letter of no objection that was previously granted, dated 12/15 of 2020. So the only entity that has a utility in there is OG&E. They've provided a letter of no objection. So we would ask for the TE to be removed. It's hard for me to imagine the 1 foot to 3 foot strip of 100 feet is possibly necessary for anything. The house is already constructed. There is no drainage. There's nothing in this 5 foot side yard except for OG&E, and OG&E has said letter of no objection. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Again, Kendall Dillon is here. We'd ask for your approval minus the TE.
Okay, this is a Ward 8 case. I've got just a couple questions to confirm what you just said. Number one, the letter you've handed out from OG&E, which is dated December 15th of 2020, references, and this is rhetorical, I'm just trying to confirm, that the legal description presented here is also known now as within a platted subdivision as 8209 Northwest 151st Street, right?
Yes, sir.
And then the house is built over this portion of what's being requested as the easement, so there are structured improvements over the top of this strip of land?
Yes, sir. If you go to the second page, you'll see the survey that shows the footprint of the house into that 5 foot side yard UE.
Oh, okay. I mean, I guess I'll ask from somebody from staff, just utilities, public works, whoever is including this language again, why we would need to include this TE.
Barry Lodge with Public Works Engineering. I got this request on my desk yesterday to look over this. It was emailed to me from one of Mr. Box's associates. And so we started looking at it and referred it over to our Public Works municipal counselor to get his advice on it. The language that's included there on the TEs was actually provided previously, not for this specific case, for these easement closures. And the basic reason for that is just to give Public Works staff and the other departments opportunity to adequately review these closure requests. And so our municipal counselor advised us to request that TE remain. And because of that, I would request that we leave it in there. That would give us time to research that. The letter from OG&E that Mr. Box has referenced was not included in the information that was submitted to me for review. So that's a new item that I had not seen either. So that's the basic reason why I'd like to leave it in there now, as on the advice of our municipal counselor.
Are there existing city utilities present in this easement?
None that I am aware of.
May I respond briefly, Mr. Chair? Two things. The application was actually filed about 45 days ago. Of course, we don't file it the week before the hearing. Notice has to go out. So it was filed 45 days ago. I sent Mr. Lodge an email on Tuesday with all of the information that I provided you, asking, is it really needed, considering it's the only thing in there is OG&E, and the house is already built. So we didn't drop this on him yesterday. We tried to, and again, it was filed 45 days ago. We've tried to go through the process necessary. I understand it's boilerplate, and they want it on everything. But on a case-by-case basis, when you've been presented this, it's hard for me to imagine why the city would need to expand, frankly, their rights, right? I mean, what they're trying to do through this technical evaluation is expand the rights that they otherwise have to allow sidewalks and traffic control systems and all of these things that make absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I get that. I assume that language is included because it's, very difficult to individually prepare easement language for all the different cases, and so they just kind of sling a standard provision at it. Those two things I'll say, and then I'm curious to see what other commissioners think, but I mean, there's a variance granted by the Board of Adjustment on March 4th of 2021. It would weigh very heavily, at least for me, that a mortgage inspection certificate, this is going to fail. It's going to be a major problem. This is a constructed house. There's no existing utilities in the easement. You're really going to hold this homeowner hostage if you allow this easement to continue. It's going to create an issue on a mortgage inspection certificate. So I'm not overly compelled by the idea that we would not delete the TE and allow this to go through. If there were other utilities in the easement area today that the city needed to get to, of course, that would be a different conversation, I think. But that's not the case. And I can't see is that they're going to come through and dig up underneath the house to run a water line.
I want to understand this. What you're seeking to close is just the portion of an existing easement that you encroach upon, is that right?
Yes,
so
ma'am.
it is connected to a larger easement.
Yep.
Yeah, in fact,
It's just not this little piece.
correct. In fact, if you look to the rear yard, there's a 10-foot utility easement that runs along the back. Presumably, that's where all the utilities are.
And what is the width of the easement here that you're part
It's a
of?
5-foot UE, and we encroach 3.3 feet into it.
Okay.
Any other comments from commissioners on this one? If not, I can't make the motion for the ward, but I certainly would move that we recommend, or that we recommend approval of the closure and deleting TE1.
Being such a big fan of easements and closures anyway, I'll make that motion.
Okay. So I have a motion. I'll take the second on PrimeGov. Motion's been seconded by Commissioner LaForge. Please cast your votes when available. And again, we're recommending approval of the closure with the deletion of TE1. Commissioner Hinkle, how do you vote? I got the vote. Oh, good. I'll vote to be cast. Who is it, Paula? Commissioner Coffey? And that item is recommended for approval unanimously. Next item on today's agenda is item number 6. Mr. Butler?
This is case number C-7354, preliminary plat of Woody Creek, located east of South Sarah Road and south of Southwest 15th Street.
Applicant present.
Hi, Ron Walters, 8501 South Walker. I'm a developer and owner of this property. This is a continuation of our development of the Old Westbury Golf Course. We're adding 80 single-family lots in here. These are going to be senior housing for sale. We expect houses to be in the $350,000 to $600,000 range. You guys have any questions about it?
Appreciate that. I'll just note for the purposes of the record, staff indicates that the design of this preliminary plat conforms with the subdivision regulations as they relate to access requirements for subdivisions with between 31 and 100 lots. Commissioner Coffey, this is your ward, ma'am. Do you have comments or concerns on this for the applicant?
I do have a few comments. This, of course, as you might guess, is somewhat controversial in nature as it relates to Mustang Creek and the tributary that's north of Mustang Creek. We have had a meeting with a few of the homeowners. It is, as Mr. Walters indicates, a continuation of the development of the old Westbury Golf Course. This is not a new subject to the Planning Commission or Council as development continues of this area. There is a great deal of fill dirt that's going to be required that Mr. Walters is well aware of. Do you know at this point how much fill dirt will be required for the development?
I don't have the exact number offhand. It's a big one. Big number.
It is, of course, in a floodplain, as you're well aware. I do want my fellow commissioners as well as city council to know that we will be keeping a keen eye on the development as it relates to the flood drainage and the flood study. I know we'll be working closely with the Corps of Engineers as it relates to not only the drainage improvements, but the site as a whole. I also will be paying attention not only to the setback as it relates to the development itself, but also the amount of the setback from the creek itself. I know from personal experience, having lived in this area for 40-plus years, that even 5 more feet from the tributary would have saved my home from flooding in years past. So I know the developer will work with those residents who will be living in these new homes as it relates to the importance of the distance from the back of their lot to the creek itself. We've had good meetings and good discussions with the developer in the past and have worked well with him. And for that reason, I am inclined to recommend this development. I would be happy to hear from my fellow commissioners or any others who might be here to speak on behalf of this project.
I don't have anyone signed up to speak, but I'll ask the question. If you'd like to be heard today on C-7354, now's your chance. Seeing nobody, if there's no other comments from commissioners, I think we're ready for a motion on the preliminary plat. Commissioner Coffey?
I recommend approval of C-7354.
I have a motion to approve the preliminary plat of C-7354. I'll take the second on PrimeGov. It's been seconded by Commissioner Powers. Please cast your votes when available. Yeah, subject to technical evaluations, thank you. Applicant certainly didn't object to them. And that preliminary plat is approved unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on today's agenda is item number 7.
This is PUD 1844, an application to rezone 12200 North MacArthur Boulevard from PUD 817, PUD 1844.
Good afternoon, David Box, 522 Colcord Drive. On behalf of the applicant, this is a PUD for an existing retail center that's been very successful there at MacArthur and 122nd. As it's developed, there's been a need for some additional uses based upon some market feedback that they've received. So we're not looking to change anything about the building. What we've done through the PUD is mirror the language of the existing PUD and simply add some uses that we believe are compatible and necessary for the continued growth and existence of this commercial center. Staff has recommended approval with no technical evaluations. Be happy to answer any questions.
This is in Ward 8, so I'll kick us off here. I looked at this. I don't have any objection to any of the uses as presented. I will just note for the purpose of the record that staff report indicates that the PUD, as Mr. Box indicated, is requested to add uses to those already permitted within the existing PUD, which do not trigger any new compatibility issues. It says otherwise the proposed PUD mirrors the existing PUD and or the existing conditions consistent with the comprehensive plan. So that leaves little for me to be concerned about. I'll certainly entertain any concerns from other commissioners or anybody that wants to be heard on PUD 1844 today. Seeing nobody, if there's no other discussion, I would make a motion to recommend approval to City Council, but I can't do that.
Mr. Chairman, I move we recommend approval of PUD 1844 to City Council.
Okay, I have a motion. I'll take the second on PrimeGov. It's been seconded by Commissioner Powers. Please cast your votes when available. And it has been unanimously recommended for approval. Next item on today's agenda is item number 8.
This is PUD 1845, application to rezone 5201 East Hefner Road from PUD 1154 to PUD 1845.
Once again, David Box, 522 Colcord Drive, here on behalf of the applicant, who is also here with us. The applicant here is Midwest Wrecking, and what we, Cindy, can it rotate now? Okay. So what we seek to do is rezone this tract in a PUD that would allow for general I2 uses. And then, if you can see in the site plan, that's, there we go. It's not oriented correctly, but I think we're about to be. There we go. So you'll see tract 1, which encompasses almost the entirety of the tract, is I2, which is consistent with what is to the west. In the center, you'll see a tract 2, and that is I3. What we seek to do is a pavement recycling and rock crushing. We've located that in a position to be central to the site in a manner to avoid any problems outside of the site. Of course, we're at the back of house to industrial warehouses on our west. To the east, our belief is that is a large-scale lagoons for the city of Oklahoma City. So it's unlikely that there ever be any residential anywhere near this based upon the nature of the lagoons. So we believe these uses are needed as the city expands, and you have continued development and you have redevelopment, and therefore buildings and roadways being torn up. You've got to be able to recycle that pavement. We believe this to be a perfect spot for it, given the nature of the area and how we have located this. Staff has recommended approval, and there are no technical evaluations. We'd be happy to answer any questions and ask for your approval.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Box. Commissioner Pennington, this is your ward, sir, so I'll let you kick us off.
No comments and no objections.
Okay. If there's no further discussion from other commissioners, I'll just ask for the purposes of the record if there's anybody here that wants to be heard on PUD 1845. I don't see anybody. So if there's no further discussion, I think we're ready for your motion, Commissioner Pennington.
Mr. Chairman, I move we recommend approval of PUD 1154 to City Council.
Be PUD 1845.
1845, what am I looking at? Wrong one, I'm looking at the existing
That's
number
all right.
on here.
I got you.
1845.
So I have a motion to recommend approval to City Council for PUD 1845. It's been seconded by Commissioner Powers. Please cast your votes. Sorry. Come on. You've been gone 2 meetings, All right.
Thank you.
And that application is approved unanimously, or recommended therefore. Next item on today's agenda, item number 9 was continued, so the next item on our agenda today is item 10.
This is SBUD 1346, application to rezone 3321 Southwest 59th Street from PUD 562 to SBUD 1346.
Okay. Applicant present.
Hi, Matthew Smith, 2900 Wingate Street, Fort Worth, Texas.
Welcome back to Oklahoma, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. So this PUD, we have a presentation that we can go through as well. Is for a 7-Eleven gas station with 6 MPDs and 3 high-speed diesel pumps, as well as some minor truck parking. We have met with the airport authority, went through their concerns that were expressed last meeting. We also met with Commissioner Coffey and Commissioner Cravens, and talked through some of the issues we had, and some concerns, and we've addressed them in the PUD. The council or the staff has recommended approval, and I can take any questions you might have.
I appreciate it. I want to start by apologizing to you for what was a lapse in memory, that this was an SPUD and not a PUD. So when I suggested to you that we could review the ingress and egress and the site plan and all that at specific plan, turns out we can't, because in my mind this is a PUD, so I apologize for that.
No problem.
Led you astray there.
Sarah emailed us shortly after and let us know. So.
Yeah. I'll let Commissioner Coffey kind of lead the discussion here. We did participate in a call, but Commissioner Coffey, I'll let you relay the discussion there.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we have had a good discussion with Mr. Smith and worked through several issues. There were some major concerns, both as it related to traffic. This is a very complicated little piece of property. It's prime property, I think, and a lot can be done as it relates to enhancing this area. I am pleased that Mr. Smith did meet, and Mr. White, I guess, too, met with the traffic authority. I appreciated help from my fellow commissioner to my right who had met with the airport authority in the past as it related to developing this area. I think we've worked through the traffic issues, but that will be seen later as we develop further, as we get along toward the development of this. We had some concerns as it related to the lighting, particularly as it related to protecting our neighbors to the east along Independence there. I think we've worked through those issues. And I don't have any other questions regarding this at this point in the development unless there are concerns from my other commissioners or from others who are here.
No, I would just add for commissioners' clarification, some of the suggestions that we made, I want to make sure you guys are all privy to and understand that we requested them, and that's why they were included for you all to consider, was we requested that they prohibit spectator sports and entertainment, general and restricted. Just feel like they can come back and ask for that so we can review that use more specifically, especially given the neighbors fronting Independence looking at it. The other thing they agreed to do, we stole Commissioner Clare's usual landscape requirements, which are outlined in the packet under item 5 for landscaping, which is a 10-foot landscape buffer required on the north and east property lines, 50% evergreen trees and 20-foot centers, which they agreed to. The other things in the packet that we sort of requested and talked through was the fencing. And the applicant expressed concern to us over fencing the entire site. Right. Really what we wanted the fencing to do, especially while the landscaping wasn't mature, was to keep headlights, especially from trucks. If you look at the site plan, if you're coming off the access road, that area to the north is to service semi-trucks. So semi-trucks are going to be coming in to fill up, and we're trying to prevent the headlights from going to those houses there on Independence. And he agreed to provide site-proof screening in order to accomplish that. I feel like what he provided does accomplish what we were after. Encourage commissioners to think through that as well. And then we talked a little bit about signage. I will note too that the site-proof screening restricts gaps between the boards. Again, trying to do a better job of really making that a light barrier by being totally opaque. So that was another thing that was included. I think that's all the other things that I recall from our discussion. So is there anybody here that wants to be heard on SPUD 1346? So seeing nobody, if there's no other discussion or concerns from commissioners, Commissioner Coffey, it's your floor. You can make a motion or let us know what you think.
If there's no further discussion, I am ready to move approval of SPUD 1346.
Okay. I have a motion to recommend to City Council approval of SPUD 1346. I'll take the second on PrimeGov. It's been seconded by Commissioner Powers. Please cast your votes. Mr. Smith, we appreciate your patience.
Yeah,
and appreciate
thank
everything
y'all.
you did to work through it with us.
Mr. Chair, no comments, right? I assume nobody. I didn't hear you ask for them.
No, I did.
Oh, you did. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, appreciate working with y'all, and you'll see more of me. So I'll be back.
It's not. Okay. Is it a Buc-ee's? Never mind. That item is recommended to City Council for approval unanimously. Next item on today's agenda is item number 11. Mr. Butler.
11 is PUD 1837, application to rezone 2804 East Memorial Road from AA and R1 to PUD 1837.
Applicant present?
Yes. Chuck Twyble with SRB Engineering, 100 Northeast 5th Street, Oklahoma City. And yeah, we're proposing a mixed-use development on Memorial Road, just south of the Oklahoma Christian University. And yeah, we're going to have some commercial along the frontage of Memorial Road, and then step it back with some office behind that, and then 3 cul-de-sacs with single-family uses on there. And we're going to have 2 main entry roads, and then expect a couple more entries just as accesses to the individual lots. And then we've been working with Till Creek to the east to make that connection over with their existing site. And as you can see in green, you know, we have a 35-foot setback on the south to buffer that subdivision, and then kind of loop it around with some walking trails. And if detention's required, we've set back some open spaces for detention. So, yeah, we're available for any questions.
Okay, and you're in agreement with all the staff's technical evaluations?
Yes, we are.
Okay, excellent. Commissioner Pennington, this is your ward, sir. Do you want to lead our discussion on this?
Yeah, just one quick question that I just want to confirm that it's being addressed, I guess, with the TEs on page, and this is really kind of a staff question. On page 14 of the staff report, it talks about, and so I'm kind of reading from the notes from staff. It says, no compatibility issues are identified for the limited commercial uses on track 2, except that drive-through uses could be adjacent to residentially zoned property to the southwest. So does that mean we need to go ahead and put in that buffer that we've usually done of 150 feet between there, or what? You want to, yeah, please, sir.
I can answer. The drive-through use could potentially be within 150 feet of the residential to the southwest. Usually you ask for that separation. However, in this case, the PUD already has hours of operation built into it. So that's for your discussion of whether you are going to ask the applicant for that additional buffer as well, or if the hours of operation satisfies that concern. Is that fair? Is that correct? Yes.
Is it?
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
I still think it's pretty disruptive, but I'm open.
I'm with you. I would still think that we would require that language. I wouldn't want to hear a drive-through speaker anymore at 3 o'clock in the afternoon than I would 3 o'clock in the morning.
Thank you.
I mean, so it's a simple thing. There's 3 use units I think are impacted by that. The drive-through order window. Usually there's another case that's in our packet that would include those. But
We normally do it for gas stations as well, but they don't allow that in this particular tract.
In track 2?
In tract 2, it's really only the drive-through use is the one that the commission finds to be
So it would be
potentially incompatible.
Fast food drive-in and fast food with drive-through order window.
Right, and gas stations, yeah.
Yep. Okay. I made that note as well, so I agree. I don't know if anybody feels differently, but I certainly agree with your thought there, Commissioner Pennington.
What do you think?
You think y'all are okay with a 100-foot buffer?
150.
Drive-through, just that, can't have the drive-through. And
Yep.
residential to the west.
To the west.
To the west.
Or do you want to stick with the limits of operation until 10 o'clock?
We don't have I'm sorry.
Yep. Make sure you give us your name and address, too.
Larry Wallace, 10901 Waters Welling Way, Edmond, Oklahoma. So at this point, we don't have a user for the property.
We understand.
Yeah, so, and I couldn't quite understand what staff was suggesting. Is it a 100-foot buffer between the property line?
It's a 150-foot setback for the use of the drive-through order speaker, only the speaker,
Okay,
from the residential property line to your west.
We
okay.
can put buildings over there and commercial shops.
You got it.
You just
Yeah.
can't have the speakers.
You got it.
Not the
The
speaker.
speaker can't be there.
The donut shop.
And that residential next door, I think is actually an office. It just looks like a residential.
I think we're told in our staff
zoned.
report it's zoned residentially.
Okay, okay, well, we don't need to go there.
PUD 671, can someone confirm that? I think it also says, well, it does say in our staff report that PUD 671 is an industrial land use.
Yeah,
I think we need to confirm that. Because that would change my
right.
opinion.
Yeah, but again, when I saw that comment, I just assumed that meant that residential was
Yep.
close.
Now, there's residential south of that, but that particular building that you're referring to is, it's my understanding, is not.
And does anybody have any idea what the base or the uses of PUD 671 are? That's pretty important at this juncture.
I'm going to answer. Yes, I will answer. So the little residential-looking building along the corridor it's its own SPUD, and it's an office. The PUD to the southwest is a residential PUD with 1 acre tract residential as its base. So it's the corner of tract 2
Right.
that could potentially be within 150 feet of PUD 671. It was complicated to write and it's complicated to explain, I'm sorry, but
No, I'm following you. The nearest structure that's existing on a 1 acre lot is in place.
yes.
And
the
it is
ho-
well in excess of 150.
The home is there, it is zoned for residential uses, and when we measured it out, we couldn't confirm whether a second home could be built on the north end of that, if it could have been split or not.
Got it.
So it's basically their yard, is what it is.
Okay.
So where we're adjoining, that's office directly west.
Exactly,
but
yeah,
then
to-
it's the corner
yes.
to the south.
I
It's
see.
correct.
I see.
And that's what, we did not TE it for a couple reasons. One, because they have the hours of operation built in. And second, because that is an office use to the west, and we're talking really in residential, it would be just the uses to the southwest.
Yeah, assuming those lot lines are accurate, I mean, it's just catching the corner of that residential lot.
Yeah, and part of y'all's TEs is increasing the buffer along that western property line. So we're going to have to be a little bit farther east than what that site plan depicts. I mean, we're going to have a 20-foot landscape buffer along that western boundary. And so that's gonna
Along
move our
track 2
drive-
and 3?
Pardon?
On track 2 and 3? Or just 2?
Track.
Or just 3?
2 and 3, yes. Uh-huh. Yeah.
TE4 just says track 3, right?
That's what, okay. That's what I thought.
Yeah, so track 2 will be adjusted to move us, probably 15 feet farther to the west.
Well, what TE3 is asking us to do is to specify screening or landscape techniques from track 1 and 4. And then TE4 says screening shall be required along the west side of track 3 per code.
And nothing addresses track 2.
Yep.
Track 2.
So, thoughts?
Is 100, are you amenable to 100 feet? Is that are we arguing over this 100, the difference between 150 and 100?
Chuck, what's the distance from the edge of that building that you've got shown right now?
I don't have anything scaled, but,
What'd you say, 70?
it's in excess of that. It's 85, 90.
We want to be friendly neighbors, so if you
Yeah.
take 100 feet,
And-
accomplishes that. I mean, we're putting a screen up anyway, but
This is it's a unique set of circumstances, I grant you, because it's not really residential due west of you, even though it looks like a residential structure there. And the other structure that's in place, so they know exactly, there's not anything that's going to be built right there unless there's some sort of a lot split. So,
and that's prime for retail drive-through. That's why I'm a little reluctant to say, we'd like to be able to make it as friendly as possible.
Commissioner Pennington, I don't think you're giving anything up here that you're going to regret, if that makes you feel better. I don't think it's going to create much of a problem for that. That's my opinion. But
If we go with no,
if that was a house right
Additional
there, I'd
buffer.
feel totally different. But I'm not troubled by it, given where the structures lay out on that map right there on our screen.
is everybody in agreement with that? Okay. Then I think I'm good.
Okay. On tract 1, I'd like for you to restrict spectator sports and entertainment restricted, which is allowed under your language in 8.1.1. That would be a request I would make.
Spectator sports?
And entertainment restricted 8300.69.
And is that outdoor?
Yes.
Okay, so indoor would be allowed.
Indoor is
like
allowed. That's a separate
laser
use
tag
unit.
or something. Okay.
Yeah, and in fact, I thought it was included in one of yours, but no, it would be allowed still, indoor.
Okay.
Yep, it's just the outdoor. And then the other question that I had, is staff comfortable that this language around the hours of operation is a real requirement within the PUD, or are they comfortable that a covenant is being granted privately that's going to provide hours of operations? Because that language bothers me a little bit. It says covenants will be recorded with respect to track 2 that limit hours of operation till 10 p.m. on Sundays through Thursdays and 12 midnight on Fridays and Saturdays. It doesn't say activity shall be restricted. It says covenants will be recorded. That doesn't mean anything to me.
So you don't want it within the private agreement, you want it.
We don't
in-
have any
in the-
purview over a private agreement is the
Right.
problem, and I can't even look at it to see, like, yep, that's what it says, great. It doesn't, it
Yeah,
just
I
doesn't
mean,
mean
if we're going
anything.
to put that stipulation on there, we can put it in.
Yeah,
there.
it should just say, track two's hours of operation shall be limited, is what it should say.
Okay.
Yeah, I think what you said is just strike the language regarding covenants and just go with straight hours of operation.
Okay, any objection to that, Commissioner Pennington? So the TE would be amending 8.1.2 to read, track 2 shall limit hours of operation to 10 p.m. on Sundays through Thursdays and 12 midnight on Fridays and Saturdays. TE2 would be spectator sports and entertainment restricted, striking that, which is 8300.69 from track 1. And then on the signage, I'm sorry, it says 2 monument signs of similar dimensions to those allowed on tract 1. Let's just mirror the language.
Okay.
I don't know what similar dimensions means, but let's just mirror the language
Put
of
the
tract
same
1.
language in there again, all right.
And then is this the one where there was facade language about, sorry, give me just a second. No, I guess not. Okay, that's all I had.
Can you, Mr. Chairman, the language about mirroring the signage language from which?
So TE3 would just be the language in track 2 around the sign sizes shall mirror those presented in tract 1.
Okay.
Because tract 1 says not to exceed approximately 14 feet 1 inch by 14 feet 1 inch. I love that it says approximately. Sorry, I don't mean to pick on you. Or a maximum size of 200 square feet. That language should just be replaced where it says similar dimensions in track 2. You see that? It's on page 4 of 17 of the staff report.
I'm looking at the wrong thing.
At the very bottom of the page. If you read track
Gotcha.
2, it says track 2, 2 monument signs of similar dimension. Just,
Yep.
okay. That's all I have. Any other comments from commissioners? Anybody else want to be heard on PUD 1837? No? Okay.
I think I'm ready.
Okay.
I move that we recommend approval of PUD 1837 with the following changes, following additions to our technical evaluations. TE5 would eliminate use unit 8300.69, that's outdoor spectator sports. TE6 would strike the language in 8.2.1 regarding covenants and implement the limited hours of operations that are existing in that note. Does that make sense?
Yes,
okay.
I'm good with that.
And then adding TE7, changing the language regarding 8.2.3 signage, changing the language in track 2 to mirror the language in tract 1 regarding signage.
And one other thing, Commissioner Pennington, we need to add to that is the specification of the screening or landscape techniques between 1 and 4, which is outlined in TE3. So I think we could use we use that standard language. We just use an item 10.
We just use, yeah.
So you can read that, and it is on, for the applicant's consideration, it would be on page
3 of item 10.
Yes, sir, that's correct. So it's a 10-foot landscape buffer would be required, consisting of a minimum of 50% evergreen trees planted on 20-foot centers.
All right.
And that would be TE8.
That work for you?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
Sounds
it?
like a motion. I'll
Yep.
take the second on it. Somebody wants to make it on PrimeGov. So a motion and a second to recommend to City Council approval of PUD 1837, subject to the technical evaluations as amended and read by Commissioner Pennington. Please cast your votes. All votes should be cast. Well, Hinkle. Hinkle's voted yay. And that application is recommended for approval unanimously. Thank you very
All right,
much.
thanks for your input.
That concludes our individual items to be heard. All the remaining items have been continued or withdrawn, which brings us to communications and reports, Planning Commission committees. I did inform Commissioner Highsmith today that in his absence, he was appointed to the Development Regulations Committee. Congratulations on that appointment. He's very excited about it. As a reminder, that's Commissioners Hinkle, Claire, and Highsmith, and for staff purposes, Commissioner Hinkle has graciously agreed to serve as the point of contact if there are needs related to the DRC. Any comments on that committee or other thoughts? No? Okay. Planning Commission members, Commissioner Claire,
Nothing for me.
Commissioner Powers?
I think we should refer to our new landscape policy as the Claire rule from now on.
I like that.
And I get a billboard and now I get a landscape policy.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Commissioner Coffey?
No.
Commissioner Hinkle? Commissioner Highsmith? Commissioner Pennington? Commissioner LaForge? Okay. Planning Department?
Nothing for me, thanks.
Development Services? Municipal Counselor? Citizens to be heard, Mr. Zidzow. Don't we hear from you enough?
Well, I didn't actually have anything on the agenda today, so had to figure out a way. Mark Zidzow, 1 East Sheridan Avenue. Different hat today. On behalf of ULI Oklahoma, I'm the chair for mission advancement. ULI, if you're unfamiliar, is a local nonprofit as part of a national group that seeks to promote good land use. And wanted to bring your attention, we have an upcoming book club that is starting this fall. It'll be hosted outside. It'll be safe, socially distant, but we wanted to give everyone a copy. There's a note inside from ULI that speaks to what we believe the importance of this commission to be, both in promoting infill developments, specifically missing middle housing. I know you've heard multiple people, including myself, talk about this. The book that was provided is written by a planner from Opticos out of California. In our country, we were really great at building different housing densities up until World War II. After that, through different government programs and kind of the advent of the automobile, we kind of stopped building duplexes, triplexes, row homes, townhomes. And so what this book does is talk to how to do that in a compatible manner, the importance of it, and also kind of addressing some of the compatibility issues. And we really see this every couple weeks with a single lot going to 3, and with the code update going on right now, it seems like this is an appropriate time to be having this discussion in this book club. So if you're interested and available, feel free to stop in for one. There's no need to register, but of course, no more than 3 at a time, and I'm sure you'll all be lining up for it. So.
Well, and I've been a mainstay at past ULI book clubs, and I'm graciously not going to do this one so that the rest of you can. So that's just me letting you guys know that this is legitimately, it's a great book. I mean, this is very interesting, of course, for me for multiple reasons, not just my role here on Planning Commission, but it's good stuff, I promise. And I really think, you know, when you start to take a look at the missing middle housing and what we do lack in our modern development character, you'll start to realize a lot of this stuff is just like, it's what you love most about our historic areas, right? It's the stuff that we wish we still built. It's why you go visit other cities. Like, this is the good stuff. So we should figure out how to do this again, for sure. That's my opinion.
And the last piece I'll add, Commissioner Highsmith is correct. Heritage Hills, Mesta Park, Gatewood, they have fourplexes, triplexes kind of sprinkled in throughout in a very compatible manner. If you look at our recent census numbers, neighborhoods in the core that include Gatewood have actually lost population. And you know, they're still digging into data, but one of the assumptions here is household sizes are going down. People are still buying single-family homes. So, you know, while we may have had some infill and we're seeing some higher density projects, as a total, our core is actually losing population in certain neighborhoods. So without having more projects like this, it'll make it harder for neighborhood corridors to remain vibrant without the necessary need for surface parking lots everywhere. So.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Can I tag along with that just real quick? Thank you, Mark, for your comments and for providing these. Yeah, missing middle housing, we didn't call it that in Plan OKC, but it's very much a part of the comprehensive plan. And I might mention also Daniel Parolek was our consultant for the code update diagnosis. He and his firm and some others, very sharp and a leader in the field, especially when it comes to this type of thing, to missing middle housing. And Arthur C. Nelson, also one of the best minds in the country in terms of the financial and fiscal side of planning. So I look forward to diving into this.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Butler, is it possible to have that saved for Commissioner Privet? Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizens to be heard? Mr. Warrior? Okay, good to see you. If there's no other business, I can't believe this. We're going to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I feel uncomfortable. Should we just sit here a while together? Okay. I move we adjourn. If there's no other objection, I'll take a motion.
Second.
Okay. Any opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned.